Okay, what are you saying, people? Welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen are the pairs will be analyzed today, but try to make sure you do stay to the end of the video because I will be going through each pair, analyzing what happened this week, and of course forecasting the next. But I do hope you enjoy the video. But with all that said, guys, let's get straight into it. Okay, so first things first, Euro USD. So as you can see, exceptionally bearish this week, which was expected. We had targets at that monthly wick, which you can see price has obviously smashed straight through. So we're seeing that bearish momentum, just continuing from the bearish trend that's been playing out over the past few months now. And as you can see, we are trading at a very, very critical level of support here. Strong monthly time frame. Strong support on the monthly time frame. Previous time we tested this level was back in 2017, and as you can see, a very strong move to the upside from this pair. And I'm actually expecting price to go a lot lower. I do think we'll take out this level and take out that wick down there. So that's my overall target for Euro USD. But I am looking at some relief first and then the rollover. Essentially, Euro USD can do two things. It can just drop straight away and take up the lows, because we do have the bearish momentum, already there. The market could just drop. It might not have the energy to retrace. It might just keep falling, or we can respect this level, have that retracement, and then go and take it out. So all in all, my concentration for Euro USD will be at this level. Can we hold that? If we can, we'll be looking for buys. If not, when we break through, then the wick will be my target down there. So that is what I'm going to be looking at for Euro USD coming into next week. Dropping all the way down to the 4H, because there's nothing really on the weekly or the daily to look at. As you can see, we're coming into these areas. There's no real information for us. So dropping to the 4H, we'll be looking for a push to the upside into this level. Previous time we found that strong support, broke through, haven't really got the retest, so looking for a push back to 1.07 700, we'll say, back into this area up here. If we can hold this support, because it is a monthly support, very, very critical monthly support actually. So if we can hold this, we should see some nice relief to the upside, and a push into this is fairly doable, and potentially could go actually a little bit higher. But if we don't have the energy and price breaks through, then those will be targets. So essentially, I need to wait for more development for Euro USD, see if we can bounce that, form some higher lows. Then I will look at some buys back into 1.07 700. But if not, we break through and we just maintain that momentum, then looking for those pullbacks early in the week, retest of the level, that'd be really nice, and then shorts back down to 0.3399, which is the wick on the monthly time frame. So that is the plan for Euro USD. We'll see what we do coming into the week. So far, there's not really much price action for me to analyze yet. We've dipped below, come back above. Let's see if we can start to hold this. And yeah, if we can, buys back into that level at 1.077. If not, shorts back down to the lows at 1.03399. Okay, so next up we've got USD JPY, and as you can see, another bullish week for this one. In the weekly time frame, another bullish week. More upside for USD JPY. We're looking for some retracement to begin with, and I said some buys later on in the week. Didn't quite have the retracement as I was expecting. I was looking for 126, 125. Price to come to some of these areas, some nice resistance, turn support, but you can see we didn't have quite enough energy to do that. Price formed a higher low pretty early on, and we did see that continuation to the upside. I did say I still do have upside targets for USD JPY, 134, 135, I believe, what is 134 600. So I still do see the market come up to these highs. Again, similar situation to Euro USD. We could either just keep plowing and working our way to the upside, or we have a big retracement and then we do it later on. But as of right now, looking at the weekly, looking at the daily, looking at the 4H, everything is still bullish, and the structure is still bullish. I'm always going to be favoring the longs for USD JPY, and looking for some buys coming into next week, and just looking to ride that momentum for as long as possible until the market tells me otherwise. But you can see the structure here: higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and again this week higher high, looking for that next higher low, and then more continuation to the upside. Got a nice trend line here, but the area I'll be focusing on for USD JPY is this broken resistance here, that prior daily high. Looking for the market to come back and retest it, which is around the 128.97, so almost 129, but it's some nice confidence in this area, and we'll be looking for longs from this resistance. Turn support and targets will be the highs. You could look to see if you can target the monthly target all out there, just in case we do one more big bullish week, but you know, you can play it safe than sorry, just in case profits get taken away. We could see a big push, market comes straight back down and take those profits away. So a push to the highs, that's like the most likely, and looking for a retest of 128.968, and the secondary we'll be looking at will be this support level here. False break, price came back above. If we do have a deeper retracement this week and come into this area, which is 127.750, again same thing, looking for longs, and same targets as well. USD JPY, for USD JPY back to the highs, and again looking for longs. We have to take out this low here for me to really consider the reversals on the cards. As long as we stay above this level, you know, we'll be looking for those longs for this pair. So more upside for next week for USD JPY, back to highs, which is at 131, we'll call it, back to highs there. Two levels I'm looking at. Let me just get rid of this to make it a little bit clearer. 128.968 and 127.96 for push back to highs at 131 for next week. Okay, so next up we've got USD CAD. So USD CAD more upside this week. Again, I said last week, as long as we stay above this, I'm favoring price to continue bullish. Again, overall targets back at 129.644, 1.3 as well if you can break through that. But we didn't see too much retracement until the end of the week. You can see mainly very bullish, and then quick move to the downside and quickly corrected back up again. So I'm still expecting more upside coming into next week. Do have this trend line here. As long as we stay above that, still favoring longs, especially this level up here, which formed on Friday, 127.200. But I'm still favoring more upside, and we'll look for buys into 129.600. We do have this key level of resistance, which does look like we are breaking through. You can see previously very strong resistance here on the daily, a load of false breaks. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to USD CAD. So USD CAD this week, more upside, which was expected. We broke through this level on Friday last week. So I said coming into this week, looking for buys as long as we stay above this level. I was preferably looking for the retest of it, but we didn't quite get that. And price just kept moving to the upside. So still expecting more upside for USD CAD even into next week. Like I said, last week my targets, overall targets, are back at these highs, and I'm expecting some new highs, and I do think we can take them out and come to some of these areas, which is 1.3, 1.30250. Some of these levels I do expect us to reach in the next couple of weeks or so, depending how bullish we are. Excuse me, but expecting more upside. We've broken through a key level of resistance now for USD CAD. A load of false breaks from this level, as you can see, really strong level, but a load of false breaks above it. So if we can have a successful retest of this level, we will look for longs to fill that gap back into 1.29649, and then if you're feeling brave, you can probably anticipate the breakout and look for 1.30250. But that will be the target for USD CAD. So either break and retest of that level, or we have a deeper retracement. So if we get that below, we'll be looking for that next higher low, you know, in respect to these higher lows. So 1, 2, we'll be looking for that third one, and then looking for longs off the back of that. Again, I would prefer price to come back and retest some of these areas, but I highly doubt we will. You know, I will mark it up, you know, just to let you guys know if we do come to these areas, we'll be looking for buys. But momentum is looking very strong close on the weekly. You can see very strong momentum compared to all these wicks we had previously, so I'm not anticipating much retracement next week. So that's why I'm not really looking at too much at that level, but mainly focused on this level here. So dropping into the 4H, we've got these higher lows. We'll look for a third one, you know, at this area, which is around 127.500, or preferably if you can hold this as support, we'll look for buys into 129. 129,649. So that is the plan for next week. We'll be trying to find that higher low, but if we just hold that level of support, that's fine as well. Targets right back to those highs, and then maybe even 1.3 if we can break through. But that is what I'm looking at for next week for USD CAD. Only looking at buys, not interested in sells whatsoever for this one. And looking for a push there. I mean, there will be some sells, but it probably will be short-lived. The buys for me are still the bigger the move in the market. So 1.29649 will be the target for next week for USD CAD.
Sorry to interrupt the video, guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you find it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video.
Okay, so next we've got Euro Pound. So Euro Pound, a very up and down week for this one. You can see very messy price action. This is Euro Pound Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that's pretty much just what we had this week. So you can see very messy, but there is a key thing happening on Euro Pound, which I am looking at and paying attention to, which is this weekly trend line, which is keeping us trending to the downside for, it feels like, forever. But you know, as long as we stay below this, expecting another leg to the downside back into the lows, the weekly lows at 0.8250, and maybe even some new ones as well. So as long as we stay below that, I'm still bearish here for Euro Pound. We had this key level of support and resistance here, which the market is holding. So it is looking bearish for Euro Pound. Last week I said if you can stay above this level, looking for push back to highs, and if we don't and we reject it, then I'm looking for push back down into this support. Then if you can break through that, we can go further. So you can see fade to the upside, and now we're closing bearish. So looking at this momentum continuing into this support there, and if we can break through, that'll be our first target after that level, and that'll be the second target after that level. So dropping onto the 4H, all we're looking now is for that next lower high. So you can see high, lower high, looking for that next lower high, preferably on a retest of that level at 0.84200, and then sells back down. Or if we have a retest of this support, which looks like we're breaking through on the retest of that, and sells back down. But essentially, as long as we can stay below this level, 0.84200, and below that weekly trend line, you know, we do have that sell bias, and that will be the target for the week. And then maybe if we can break through, this will be the target as well, but I'm not too sure if we will do that. I mean, we could do that because we are bearish. We might see some momentum come back in because you had a bit of a fake out, so we could see some momentum come back in. But just to be safe, you know, that is a strong target to have, and if we can pass that, then we could look at those lows. But Euro Pound, I'm bearish on this one, looking for that next lower high. We've got the high up there, second one, looking for that third one, you know, either one of these areas. Then shorts back down to 0.83125 for next week. Okay, so next up we've got Aodu USD. So as you can see, more downside this week for this one, which was expected. Again, I gave out 0.7 as the target for Aodu USD. We hit some targets before that, but we haven't hit 0.7 yet. So simply this week, we're just going to continue to look for those sells back down to 0.7. Had that massive wick to the upside. Again, false break above these highs, trapping some buys. I think that's forming our next major lower high. So I do think we can actually push past 0.7, but again, major level, no need to look past that right now. Still got a decent amount of pips before we get there. So 0.7 will be the target. Dropping down onto the 4H, simply looking for that next pullback. We do have these lower highs forming here. So we've got that low, lower high, low, lower high. We could potentially just drop on market open and just drop and hit 0.7. In that case, we can start look for some buys for the bounce, because we've been extremely bearish. But if we don't, and we have a pullback, and we're lucky enough, you know, to see that next lower high form, you know, could be at this trend line or resistance, we could, you know, pull back slightly higher. But as long as we don't break through this last swing point there, looking for the shorts back down into 0.7 there. So that is the setup I'll have. Again, mainly looking at the trend line, but I'll draw it in at the resistance here, because, you know, we could fake the trend line, and, you know, you still want to be looking shorts at this high here. So I'll draw the short position like so, but again, could happen a little bit lower at that trend line, and targets will be 0.7. And then if we can bounce this we can start to look for some longs in the opposite direction. Again, wait for some price action because it's still extremely bearish, and like I said, I do think we can break through, but if we start holding, there might be some nice longs back to the upside. But this is the main position I'm looking at for AUSD this week. Sells back down to 0.7, just hopefully we can have that retracement, form that next low high, get involved, and targets at that key psychological level at 0.7. Okay, so up next we've got NZD CAD. So as you can see for this pair, more downside this week, and we hit our target of this prior low here, which we're calling since we're up there, and 0.83430. You can see we smashed through that. So coming into the week, I gave out the trend line setup here, forming that 3 lower highs there. So we've got that 1, 2, 3, and then we rolled over. Again, I did say we could potentially pull back a little bit further and then drop, but the market was just too bearish. It didn't have enough energy to break through the trend line, and just rolled over later in the week there. Mainly was consolidating, then dropped. But yeah, NZD CAD right now, since we've taken out those lows, we're coming into a key level of monthly support. So a lot of pairs coming into monthly levels all at the same time, which is quite interesting. But as you can see, this monthly level of support has been, rejecting and holding price since 2015 here. Strong moves to the upside, and now we're back there again. But we are placing in a lot lower highs, so I do think this monthly level support will break. Similar setup to Euro USD. We could potentially have a slight reaction and then drop and go and break it. I think this wick looks good to go. Eventually, against the monthly time frame, it might take 2, 3, 4, 5 months for that to happen. We could consolidate, whatnot. But from a structural and trend point of view, this low looks good to go. But of course, we do need to break for that support first. So again, 70 Euro USD, going to be looking for some buys if we can hold on to that support, because it is a very strong support. There will be some nice buys if we can hold on to that. But if we just break straight through and momentum is too strong, then we'll look to carry on that trend back down to the low of that wick, which again is quite far away. So again, probably won't be looking at that wick for next week. Probably just looking at the psychological levels of 0.82, 0.81, and then 0.8, very big one down there. But I wouldn't target all the way down there for next week. That is quite a big drop. Again, this is the monthly time frame, by the way. But yeah, moving on to the daily and the 4H. Again, not a lot of price action on the weekly or the daily to look at, so mainly focus on the 4H. If we can hold on to this, we'll be looking for a push back up into this support here. Last time we kind of found support on the 4H and the daily, so looking for a push into not quite 0.84, 0.83900. If we can hold on to this level, some nice buys will probably come around next week, because again, this is a very strong level. So looking for at least a relief to the upside for NZD CAD. But if we break through and the trend continues and we start holding this level as resistance, which is 0.82800, like I said, 0.82 will be the next target, 0.81 after that, and then we've got the monthly lows down there. But that is what I'll be focusing on for NZD CAD. Again, thought is a very bearish market, so don't jump straight into the buys, even though we are at a very strong level. Wait for the market to play some higher lows, or at least some equal lows, to show you we are rejecting this level, and then we can start to enter some longs. But this is what I'll be focusing for NZD CAD. Buys back into 0.83900 if we hold. If we break through, wait for that next lower high in the retest, and sells back down into 0.82 for NZD CAD for next week. Okay, so next up we got pound NZD. So as you can see for this pair, big strong move on Friday, but majority of the week, past couple of weeks actually, we've been fairly sideways. I did say, and I'm looking to see what we do at this resistance here, because if we do hold, I was looking for sales for the market to come back to lows. But if we break through, that will change my bias. I'm looking for a push back into 1.97-ish, which is back into this resistance here. The last time we found support before that big push to the downside, and as you can see, we are breaking through that now. So I do have a bullish bias coming into next week for pound NZD. As long as we stay above this, looking for the retest, targets at just underneath 1.7, so 1.96, 1.97, sorry, so 1.96. 700 will be the target. So hopefully you can find that pullback, because You can see the market's forming these lower lows here, but suddenly we've had this big surge, so we're waiting for that next kind of higher low to confirm the market is moving upwards, and then 1.96700 will be the target. So this is the setup that I'm favoring. There's not much else that I'm looking at. I'm not interested in sells. If we do get back below, then yeah, I will be looking at sells for the retest, but only if we do that. Other than that, I'm just looking at longs, and there's obviously a chance that we could just fly and not see that retracement anyway. So if that retracement does happen back into 1.93500, we'll be looking for longs with targets at 1.96700. Also got a bit of a trend line there as a confluence. We'll see if that matches up, but that is what I'm looking at for pound NZD for next week. Okay, so next up we've got CAD JPY. So for this pair, very up and down this week. As you can see, big drop to the downside, came back up, so overall kind of cancelled out the move. I'm still expecting more upside for CAD JPY. I do have that monthly higher time frame target at around about the 106 area. Really nice level of supply resistance, where you can see big drops to the downside from this area, and that's where I do think CAD JPY is headed towards. Again, we might fly to that area straight away within the next month, or we could retrace and then go and hit that target. It's just up to what price wants to do, and again, we'll just follow along and react to whatever price is giving us. But right now, again, still bullish. And in terms of the structure, we still got that high, higher low, higher high, anticipating a new higher low there, not confirmed yet. The reason being because we haven't actually formed a new high, but I'm anticipating that being the next higher low for push back to highs. So target for the week will be back at the highs, which is 102.914. Again, you could probably look to target 106 if that momentum really picks up, but that will be the target for the week. The level that I gave out last week, looking for the buys for this week, was 100. So looking at that resistance price, swing high there, turn support, looking to see if we can hold that level. We did for a few hours, broke through, but turns out it was a bit of a false break, dipped below, came straight back above. Now I'm looking at the retest of that level 100. So I'm looking at price coming back down to 100, see if we can hold that level, and if we can, we'll be looking for longs for CAD JPY. And like I said, targets back at the highs at 102.914. So that is the plan next week for CAD JPY. Looking at buys, not really interested in the shorts. Again, everything's still pointing to the upside. Nice trend line confluence, might tap into that as well. But yeah, for me, only focus on the buys for CAD JPY, and targets back at 102.914 for this one. Okay, so next up we've got pound USD, and as you can see for this one, a very bearish week indeed. Did see some upside on Friday there, as you can see that bullish engulfing on the daily, but overall, you can see on the weekly time frame, represents the whole week. Big push to the downside. Did have a strong level at 1.27500, which I was looking to see if the market can hold. See some upside from, some strong support, resistance there, some strong support, gave us that last big move to the upside, but the market broke through that. So pound USD is trading at around about the 1.25 areas, bouncing off this level here, and looking to see if we can hold that, because I do think we can see some relief for pound back into this level and then maybe roll over. I definitely am still bearish overall in the pair. I do think we can probably drop to some levels here around the 1.22, 1.23, 1.21 levels down there. But again, I do think we'll probably see some retracement after these two big drops for the past 2 weeks. So if we can hold on to 1.25, we'll be looking at buys back up to 1.275 up there. Again, if you can play some higher lows, that'd be great. Had a bit of a false break of that level, but if we can get back to testing that and holding that, that would be looking good for some longs. And again, targets all the way back up at 1.275, which is that strong daily and weekly target, which I was coming into last week looking to see if we can hold this level, but we just broke straight through very easily. So looking for the retest of that level back up there at 1.275, and again, if we can hold that as resistance, get some nice signals, we'll be looking to short that right back down, because the higher time frames are still showing a lot more downside for this one. So again, if we do get into some buys, it's probably going to be short-lived, maybe 2-3 days, if we can get to that level, and then I do think the market will roll over after that. So looking at some relief for upside, relief for pound USD to the upside, and then maybe second half of the week or later stages, Thursday, Friday, get some nice sells to take this one right back down again from 1.27500. Okay, so next up we've got pound CAD. So as you can see, pound CAD, big melt to the downside this week. We broke out that consolidation. Didn't quite get the retest, however, but we did see that move to the downside. I mean, I've been calling 1.6 for pound CAD for some time now, looking at this downtrend to continue. We finally hit that area. We've had a fairly strong reaction there on Friday. You can see if we're going to the monthly time frame, I'm getting a lot of monthly time frame analysis during this video. But again, it's needed because a lot of big movements in the market have happened recently. And you can see for pound CAD here on the monthly time frame, this is a big pool of wicks in this area at 1.6. Again, very strong psychological level. 1.6, 1.7, 1.8. These are big levels here for pound CAD. And you can see every time we come into these areas, we have that sharp wick, pullback, sharp wick, pullback. And we're doing that consistently, and again another wick into this level. So looking at some upside for pound CAD, again, not expecting anything major. I do think the market is going to eventually break through this, but I do think we'll have that reaction first and then maybe go and break it later. So looking at some buyers coming into next week for pound CAD, you can see on the daily time frame we already had a strong reaction from that. But dropping into the 4H, we'll be looking for that higher low. Again, this is a monthly zone, so it looks quite big, but essentially we're looking at 1.6 as the main area of it. But we'll be looking for the next higher low. Again, not a lot of information to work with, so we do have some nice resistance here on the lower time frame, some nice demand to work with if we can get retracement into that area. But essentially looking for that next higher low, and targets for the buys will be the low of the consolidation, since we didn't get that retest at 1.63300. So looking for longs for USD CAD. Hopefully we can get a nice pullback, back down to 1.6 and look for longs there. But essentially just looking for that next high low to form, whether we have that push and a pullback or fallback straight away, or pullback straight away. Looking for the longs, and targets will be that 1.63250 for next week for pound CAD. Okay, so next we've got pound JPY, and as you can see, quite a bearish move this week. A big relief from that level, but you can see 160, strong psychological level, and the price swing low of the market is still holding as support. So for me, I'm still bullish for pound JPY, looking for a move back to these highs, and then maybe even further as well. But I'm still looking at a move upside for pound JPY, despite this aggressive pullback that we've had here. Again, I gave out two areas I was looking for longs for pound JPY. The first area was this level, price broke straight through that. And in the second area, we had some slight consolidation, but again, price broke through quite easily. However, you can see we've had that strong break, and price recovered and got straight back above. So again, a bit of a false breakout here, because if you ignore this down move and that up move, all price has done, it's just stayed at that support. You can see it's holding it right now. So if we can maintain that support coming into next week, wait for another retest, see if we can hold it, we'll be looking for longs for a push back to the upside for pound JPY. And I have two targets for this one. Not going to just target again over all those highs in one go, because we could consolidate and we could even reverse. So we'll have a target at this high over here at 164,500. Again, decent move, about 200 pips from that support, but that will be the true target. So even if we do break through that, we can look for a retest of that level and look to add longs or get into any longs for pound JPY. But still bullish for this one. Everything is still telling me it's bullish, higher time frames as well. I know we've had a pretty strong down move, but in respect to the structure and the way price is moving, there's nothing really telling me that we're going to reverse just yet. So I'm still looking at upside for pound JPY, as long as we can hold into 162,500 and a breaking retest of 164,600. We'll look for longs back to the highs at 167,400 for next week. Okay, so next up we got gold. So as you can see for gold this week, more downside. We broke through that key daily support, which I said as long as we stay above, I'm bullish. Break below, I'm bearish. And as you can see, we're holding below this. And on Friday, we just had a brief retest of that level. And you can see quite a big wick to the downside. So I do think there's more downside for gold now. And looking at this little level here to get retested again, which well, it's not actually little at all really, but I'm looking at this level here to get tested again at 1870. We just about wicked into it. Now I'm looking at price coming back into that level again, and if we can break through that, I'm looking at this area here, because this is a very strong level at 1830, which we never actually saw the retest of when we did have that breakout. So if we do manage to break for 1870, then the 1830 could be the next target. For me to look for any buys, I do need to see price get back above this level. I doubt that's going to happen next week. It could happen, you know, nothing is impossible, but if we do get above, that's when I'll entertain longs, probably back into the 1950s areas, into this resistance here. But I'm mainly focused on shorts because we've had a strong rejection, looking for that next lower high or another rejection of that level, and shorts into these levels here. So that is what I'm going to be focusing on for gold. Do have a short bias for this one since we are below that level now, and again with that strong retest, it looks like we are holding. So gold for me, long-term targets 1830, but for next week we'll stick with 1870. There's a chance we could break through, and again, like I said, 1830 will be the next target, but play it safe, we'll be looking for a push back down to 1870. So again, look for that next low high or another retest of this level. Shorts back down to 1870, break through 1830. If we do get back above, we can entertain some longs. I'll mark it up just to let you guys know, because again, we could actually break above that level. Then I would be looking at pushing to kind of this resistance here, 1950 for gold, but that's only if we get above, and that's the only situation I will be interested in any longs. So yeah, that's the plan for gold. Hold 1917, 1920, looking for shorts back down to 1817, 1830, break above. We'll look for longs back into 1950 for next week for gold. And finally, we've got Bitcoin. So it's not looking healthy for this guy at all right now. Prices attempting to go higher multiple times, but still failing. Again, we've been looking at this support to see if we can form that higher low, but it just failed. Price is trying to be pushing higher multiple times, but every time it tries to push higher, forms that lower high and rolls back over. So for me, I'm expecting Bitcoin next real target to be 35. I was looking for 44, and then to see if we can roll over, but it does not look like 44 is happening. So I'm looking at Bitcoin back down to 35k now, potentially lower as well, could be down to the 30s, but Bitcoin's not looking good. We do have this support here that could provide some life, but we've already used it, and again, I don't think price is going to sustain that support. I do expect it to break. So if you are going to look for buys for Bitcoin, I would highly advise waiting for this resistance for price to break through that and the trend line, show some new life, and wait for that high low to form, and then take some longs. Only in that case would I entertain buys. Anything else, I'm only looking for sells for Bitcoin. So yeah, another pullback, another lower high would be great to really retest that level. We've got that lower high there, would be great if you get a third one there, and then shorts back down into 35k, break above that level, and then, you know, on the trend line we can start using it as support, and then look for longs. You know, first target here, but the real target will be 44 up there. But that is the only way I'll look for longs for Bitcoin. You have to break through those both technical, you know, tools there, the trend line and the support and resistance level. If not, we stay below. Yeah, I'm expecting this one to hit 35k pretty soonish for this one, because we are building up for a move now. Whether it's up or down, we'll find out, but as we're speaking, it's looking bearish. So looking for that next low high for Bitcoin, targets at 35 for next week.
Okay, so that is the end of the video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed that, found that useful. If you have any questions, like always, or didn't understand anything, let me know in the comments. Let me know your opinions on what you're expecting next for these pairs as well. If you are enjoying the content, leave a like, subscribe, comment, share. hit the bell as well so you don't miss any uploads. It really does help the channel out, and I do appreciate all the love you guys share on the channel. But for that said, guys, I hope you enjoy your weekend, and I'll catch you all next week.